What's good, everybody? My name is Jack Dawkins. Welcome to season 4 of Stage Dive. For those of you who've been listening, you know that the podcast traditionally has been about tips and tricks that make great performances on stage. How to prepare, how to rehearse, how to navigate an audience. But this season, I feel like we've leaned more into a new category, which is the origin story of all of these artists. How did each of these performers become the person, the performer, the artist that they are today? How did they go from zero to getting on stage? And how do they navigate all of the bumps and twists and turns that make the creative journey both beautiful and really challenging? I was blown away by all of our guests this season, and I really, really hope you enjoyed this. My guest on the podcast today is Mel Wheeler, coming to us from Australia, and she is obsessed with hula hoops. She got into it a little bit later in life after she had had 4 kids, which again, a friendly reminder, you can do whatever the fuck you want whenever you would like to. And she has now spent the last 5 or 6 years becoming a complete expert, and she performs all over the country. She has, I think she said, over 100 different hula hoops that she deploys at different times depending on her performance. And she has a very unique relationship in that her partner is an audio visual engineer, and so they're working together to figure out how to coordinate lights, music, and the hoops themselves, and they can all sort of work together to make a really amazing show. It was a wonderful conversation. Mel is so grounded and so humble. Please enjoy my conversation with her. Mel, my first question for you is, are those sharks on your shirt?
Oh, they are, yes.
Celebrating the flourishing wildlife of Australia. I love it. Do you
Absolutely.
have any special relationship to the ocean and sharks, or do you just like the shirt?
I am a little bit shark obsessed. I do have, I don't know if I can, there's
Yum, yum,
my
yum,
little
yum,
buddy.
yum. Amazing.
So that helps me out a lot.
Good. Great.
Hours and hours of entertainment, eating
Whenever
everything.
flights are delayed, I'm sure you are a big hit amongst all the other passengers. Um, where did that interest in sharks in the ocean come from?
Oh, Aussies just love the beach. So
Mm,
every second I can get, I'm at the beach. I don't live close to the beach. It's at least an hour's drive, but I
mm.
just plan my life by the weather and the ocean.
And that's that. Yeah, very
That's
cool.
that.
And you were born and raised in Australia?
Yes, yeah.
Okay, amazing. Which part?
Sydney, Australia.
Okay, great.
Yeah,
Yeah, heard of it. It's a lovely place.
it
Um,
is.
amazing. And so when did hula hooping become part of your life?
Very accidentally. And when I was an old lady, essentially, I started when I was 32.
Okay.
So, yeah,
Yeah.
I started hula hooping. I saw someone at a festival hula hooping, and I'd always had an interest in circus, but I think seeing like a normal ish person hula hooping made it accessible. Was like, wow, maybe I could try as well. And then I bought a hula hoop online. I googled how to use it. I thought it would be good exercise to lose some of the mum tummy,
Mm.
and just went from there with YouTube.
Okay. Okay. Cool.
Yeah.
Um, you said you had an interest in circus. Was that like way back into being a kid or just?
Yeah, way back into being a kid, by an interest in circus, I just thought it was cool.
Yeah.
Like I didn't have any performance abilities or anything like that. I've just always thought circus was just fascinating, the coolest thing in the world.
Yeah. Yeah. Did you have like an inclination toward performing when you were little?
No, no, absolutely not. I did have a little bit of a dance background
Okay.
as a young child, like most little girls. And then I stopped dancing, I guess, when I hit high school.
Okay.
Tried to pick it up again, and then the girls were all quite nasty by that stage, like in the teenage years.
Yeah.
So then I never danced again until I was like 32 and picked up a hula hoop.
Okay. Okay. So like what were you doing with your life in between dancing in high school and arriving at hula hoop at 32? Like what was that journey like?
So my background is in arts, so visual arts, and I'm a mother of 4 kids. So I
So
had
that.
So the 2000s was a blur of four kids under seven, so close together, and pretty wild times.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Very wild times. I have one kid, and that's a lot already. So having four, I can only imagine. Although hopefully at some point they start to take care of each other, or at least
They're
entertain each other.
they're lots of fun now. They're grown up. So the eldest is 23.
Okay,
One turned 21 the other day, 19, and my baby boy is 16.
nice. That's awesome.
So,
Yeah, way more
yeah,
self-sufficient. Okay.
absolutely.
Um, so you went to a festival, you saw someone hula hooping. I'm curious when you said normal-ish, like as in just kind of like
Oh,
wearing
as it,
street clothes and like
I mean, normal-ish as like a real person in front of me, not like this amazing, like,
got it.
I mean, she was amazing, but not like someone on a stage
Yes.
that was,
Yes.
when you see circus, it's just like, wow,
Yeah,
there's other
absolutely.
people, like, there's magical beings.
Yeah, absolutely. And what was the like? So you mentioned you went to YouTube and you kind of figured it out, but like, at what point did it go from I'm curious about this and it's kind of fun to like this is my whole thing and this is what I do
Uh, Probably the second I bought that hula hoop, I was in love
now?
and just started taking it everywhere that I went. Um, I was working, so my background was arts and teaching arts while the kids were little. And I just started bringing my hula hoop with me everywhere that I went. Um, it was only maybe 3 months into hula hooping that I was at a concert and I had my LED hoop. I was just hooping out the front, and then I got put up on stage. So started performing pretty quickly into it
Yeah.
with only very, very basic skills, but that was enough to get started. And then it just kind of skyrocketed from there.
Yeah. And now if I'm remembering right from your social media, it's like you do classes and workshops and you're performing and like you have all these kind of things. And so like did that all kind of like happen as a natural progression? Like how did that all kind of come to be?
So natural progression, it was like just kind of one door after the other, but it was always very like I put the work into
Yeah, of
into
course.
doing it. It was just like, okay, I love this. What can I do? And it's just all about making it happen.
Yeah.
So I wanted to perform. So I was like, okay, how do I do this? And I was like, I need to kind of make that decision and just go, yep, go for it and spend the time practicing and like allow myself the time to practice and not feel bad
Mm,
about doing something that's a bit, not the normal way someone would spend their time.
yeah. Yeah. Can you share a little bit more about what that was like to kind of go from what I imagine being mom full time, or
Yeah.
certainly a lot of the time, because with four kids, I don't know how you could have much time for anything else, to kind of like carving out the space. Like I'm sure there were ups and downs, etc.
Once I started hula hooping, it was just like this obsession. Like, just every day, I'm like, okay, I need to get out and play just a little bit, even if it was 5 or 10 minutes each day.
Mm,
It's just like time to go and play outside for a little bit.
yeah.
The kids were a little bit older that by then, so I think my youngest might have been, actually no, I think the baby boy was 5, so the
Yeah.
kids were kind of early teens
Hmm.
and still a little bit young. So
Yeah.
they just kind of came everywhere with me.
Okay.
Yeah.
All four of them.
Yeah, pretty much. Yeah.
Oh my god, amazing! You had a whole entourage.
Yeah. Little circus family.
Yeah.
None of them hula hoop.
That's okay. Do any of them have any other interest in circus related activities?
Not at all. Not really, no. But they do think it's cool.
Yeah,
So yeah.
they're supportive.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, that's wonderful. Um, I'm curious, like when you were just starting out, like what were the things you kind of focused on as you were developing your skill set at the very beginning? And now, having done it for as many years as you have, like, what do you find yourself focusing on when it comes to training or practice?
Okay, so starting out, it was just trick by trick, but quite early on, I got obsessed with the really, I guess, tricky tricks, like like different tricks, um, like all like tricks with the wow factor.
Mm-hmm.
So I've always been like really into anything that's a little bit gimmicky or different. So I always kind of went for the harder or more unusual things and made them easy. But practicing wise, like always the basics. Waist hooping still the happiest place, and still something that I think gets, now that hula hoops have kind of gone from when I first started, they were like these massive big hula hoops, and the flow art scene has kind of developed into lots of people using smaller hula hoops as well, and the kind of flow styles completely changed over the years. Waist hooping is still like fundamental, and it's still something that the general public want to see when they see a hula hoop. So it's
Sure.
something that sometimes gets forgotten, but still one of the most exciting things that you can do with a hula hoop.
Yeah. Yeah. What's the largest number of hula hoops you use at once?
42. Oh, that's my age as well. That's just
Can you just walk me through where you fit 42 hula hoops? Because I feel
on
like
my
if you
body.
stacked 42, it would be awfully close to your height.
Um, it's pretty heavy. It's
I bet.
definitely pretty heavy. So I've made a rainbow slinky stack of 42 hula hoops. So that's always the grand finale,
Mm-hmm.
and lots of fun to spin.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How long are your sets on average?
Like, so if I've got a show, I'll go between like 5 to 8 minutes.
Okay.
If I'm doing like roaming kind of gigs, usually about 15-20 minutes a
Okay.
set, or up to an hour, like depending on what the gig is.
Yeah. When you
Yeah.
say roaming, what does that mean?
So a lot of the jobs are like roaming around, like hula hooping, just like along the streets through the event.
Okay.
So just kind of like wandering around with hula hoops and not doing an actual like stage
Set.
show
Yeah.
set, but just wandering around hula hooping, engaging with the public, giving lots of people a go of the hula hoops if they want. I've got
Mm-hmm.
hundreds and hundreds of hula hoops.
Uh, do you have a preference between the different styles of show, like a more formal set versus kind of roaming around?
um, it's interesting. Roaming's really easy, kind of muscle memory. There's not, it's fun and engaging. There's not a lot of like background prep work, but then shows are like high pressure and exciting and lots of training, and I guess greater reward as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool. Given that you have hundreds of hula hoops, like what, like size, weight, I guess, but like sort of what goes into making a hula hoop that you really enjoy using versus one that you like really don't want to use?
Hmm. Size. It's size really matters with hula hoops. It's a really funny thing. So starting out, I started out with a big hula hoop that kind of went up to my waist, and then over time, as hula hooping evolved, I guess, as well. So I started 9 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And back when I started, it was mainly all YouTube videos and tutorials, which is how I learnt. And then a couple of years, and everyone had the really big, massive hula hoops, and it was all on body kind of style. And then over time, and with Instagram, hula hoops started getting smaller and smaller and different trick styles.
Mm-hmm.
So depending on yeah, what kind of trick style is, what kind of hula hoops to use. So I kind of did start to go smaller over time, and now I've kind of gone back more old school to the bigger hula hoops again.
Okay, interesting. Is that movement back to the bigger hula hoop something everyone is doing, or do you feel like that's more unique to you?
I feel like Aussie style are bigger hula hoops.
Mm,
I feel like the American kind of style is lots of the smaller hula hoops and the kind of more flow arts kind of style.
yeah.
Um, I think it depends a lot about who you're surrounded with and who's teaching as well.
Mm,
So the influences that you have around you can shape the style that's kind of happening in your area.
yeah. Yeah, I'm sure. Um, you mentioned Australia versus American. Are those sort of like two big hubs, or is that just where there happens to be a big difference? Like, are there other world centers of hula hooping? This is my own ignorance on display.
Oh, okay. I'm just saying America because that just feels like the whole rest of the world to me.
Fair.
Down here in Aussie,
Yeah.
Aussie land. Yeah, I mean, there's different styles all over the world, but yeah, I guess the Aussies, because we are kind of, it's a bit of a niche area and a niche community, we all tend to know each other.
Sure.
And over the world with social media, we've made all these different connections with hula hoopers. It's like you kind of say a hula hooper's name and everyone will go, oh, yeah, I know them. And it's from Instagram or Facebook or whatever. So
Mm,
it's kind of feel really connected to all of the hula hoopers all over the world, not just America.
yeah.
But that's
Yeah.
the big one that stands out.
Yeah. And do you have a sense of like where this kind of like trend toward flow art came from?
I think it's natural progression, like
Mm,
just different ways of getting creative and playing different tricks. Like 9 years into hula hooping, and it's still just as exciting as it always was. Like there's still,
mm,
I still feel like I barely scratched the surface. Like there's more and more tricks that I can still do, more things I want to play with.
mm.
Like still feels like it's just the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. What's kind of like on your plate right now is a thing you're working on or a goal that you're working toward?
Um, Definitely getting a new act together, working on some different styles of tricks, and also upskilling with other props. So this year is the first year that I've kind of love hula hoops, but it's the first year I'm like, okay, I'm ready to start playing around with other styles of flow art. So I've just picked up a dragon staff, just
Cool.
picked up like the fire fans. Um, yeah, so just starting to evolve a little bit and play around, upskill, and yeah, see how that helps with my hula hooping as well, like trying something different and then coming back to it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Um, and how much are you or touring or traveling for this?
Well, at I accidentally picked up a full-time job
Tripped
during
and fell.
COVID.
Yep.
Tripped and fell, and accidentally ended up with a full-time corporate job actually, which is really something very unexpected.
Hmm.
So it's not hula hooping as much as I used to in the daytime, but still definitely I've been booked out for hula hoop gigs. I think there's only 2 weekends this year that I haven't had hula hoop gigs
Wow.
on. So always still very active with the hula hooping. Still every day I try and hula hoop, even if it's just a little bit, like just pick up my hoops after work, even if it's 5 minutes or even if it's just like a quick spin, Yahoo on my hand when I walk past the hoops. I just got to
Yeah.
do something with them. But yeah, always working on it.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Um, would you ever want to like formally join a circus or go tour the world?
Yes, more and more I'm thinking of it now that the kids are a little bit older,
Sure.
I would like to do some like overseas, like volunteer work, like um, go on tour. Like I was looking at these Performers Without Borders,
Hmm.
where they go overseas to other countries and perform for disadvantaged kids.
Mm.
So I would like to do some kind of change in the world through entertainment.
Yeah, yeah, that would be
Yeah.
brilliant. Um, do you feel like you get to talk about your hula hooping at work, or do you have to keep them like totally separate?
I actually love that my whole hula hoop business. Look at me, here I am again, again, again. So I love, I love being at work, under the radar,
Mm.
plain Jane, the most boring person in the office.
Except for the secret life you live outside of it.
Yeah.
Yeah,
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 so that's a
like
fun.
it,
It's a nice thing to do something different after having such a creative career
yeah.
and always giving so much of myself to
Mm.
entertaining, performing, teaching, like teach, just always thinking of different ways to be creative. So it's nice to have something where it's just total opposite,
Mm.
under the radar, in the background. Yeah.
Yeah. Um, it sounds like the job came up over COVID, super common for a lot of artists because obviously opportunities to perform completely evaporated, which was really tough. Like, but it sounds like you're sort of enjoying the balance of the dynamic. Do you think you'll hold on to this job for a long time?
Definitely for a while. It's been interesting having been a contractor to going into a 9 to 5 kind of role.
Yeah.
Um, Definitely, it has empowered me to take on better hoop gigs and I guess charge my worth a little bit more as well. So if
Mm.
I was full time entertaining, it's kind of very easy to fall into that trap of, oh, I need the money. So
I'll do it.
accepting like lower paying
Right.
performances or just kind of accepting every hula hoop job that comes along.
Right.
So it's quite nice to be able to pick and choose a little bit as well what
Mm.
I'd like to do.
Yeah.
And that does empower me to kind of work on more creative projects if I feel like that's the direction that I want to go.
Yeah. Yeah. That makes a lot of sense. Um, have you learned anything or taken anything from the corporate role that has supported your hula hooping? Like you mentioned that it gives you more financial flexibility to pick and choose or even to ask for a higher rate, which is great. But are there other elements of the work that you're doing on the corporate side that you've been able to bring into your art?
I actually feel like it's the opposite.
Oh,
I feel like
cool.
it's the business knowledge from the hula hooping and the art that I brought into the corporate
Mm,
role. So I feel like there's a funny crossover with that. So when I first started originally, like with artworks, I'd, be making all these different kind of artworks in my kitchen. What's the point if they stay in the kitchen and then never go anywhere? So like quite early on, I thought business skills are just so important for anything creative. It's one thing to create, but getting it out there into the world is a whole nother thing. So I did like a very basic kind of business degree as well to go along with the arts and performance. So because essentially it is, you're in the business of selling yourself. Like
mm-hmm.
you're the product that you're advertising when you're a performer.
Yeah.
So definitely business is really, really important, and having those business skills to promote yourself or to promote events or to make things happen. It's something that you need to be really proactive with as a performer. No one's going to come and say, hey, we want you. You need to be the one putting yourself out there and treating it like a business, being professional,
Yeah.
networking, doing everything that you would do in the business world
Right.
and presenting yourself in that way.
Yeah. What's your relationship like to social media?
Love it. It's absolutely love social media. I think that was yeah, what started it all for me, really.
Okay. Yeah. Can you say more about
Um,
that? Because most people don't love social media. You're a rarity in that way.
well, so when I first, well, like I learned hula hooping from YouTube,
Right.
and then, and like from the other Aussies around me using these massive big hoops.
Mm-hmm.
And then there was another Aussie hula hooper who I met up with her, and she was using these like tiny hoops. And it's just like, oh, you know, what are you doing with them? Like, and she's like, oh, I saw all these people doing these tricks on Instagram. And that was, I hadn't used Instagram before,
Mm-hmm.
but she was using these kind of smaller style hoops that most Aussies weren't using. And then I got on Instagram, and there was this whole world of hula hoopers like posting these hula hoop videos on Instagram. And so that's where a lot of my trick style kind of came from, being able to see what people were doing all over the world, all the different styles.
Mm.
And she encouraged me to, oh, there was a show we wanted to do, and we had to do a video for it. And the first hula hoop video I did, oh, I just looked so bored and so angry.
Just because you were focused, just like,
Focused, concentration face.
yep.
And so I was just like, looked at these videos and like, but I was having the greatest time ever.
Mm.
Looked so bored and angry. So videos kind of started it all for me, really. You know, filming the practice and putting them on Instagram was like mini performances once I realized how sad and angry hula hooping looked with the concentration face. Then it was something, okay, you really do need to smile and smile while you hula hoop. And so myself putting little videos on Instagram, back in those days, that was about 8 years ago, Instagram was like 15-second video clips.
Right.
And so, yeah, I used to go out and practice hula hoops, film it, and try to get 15 seconds where I wasn't dropping the hoop, or like 15 good seconds of performance, which was really, really hard to do at the time. And that's where a lot of my trick style came from, trying to get as many really cool, really hard tricks into that 15 seconds as I could, all for the gram. But
for the gram.
but in doing that, I was like engaging with other hula hoopers over the world and seeing what their trick styles were, and like learning their tricks from watching them. So yeah, it really opened up so many different doors for me in that way. We even did go to some hula hoop retreats across the world and met hula hoopers from all over the world. So that's been a really good thing as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Do you still make your content in the same way, just filming practice?
Yeah, there's a few different types of content I do. I generally feel like Instagram kind of went full circle almost. It was like 15-second clips, and they made it go for a minute, and now it's back to these reels, which are really short, quick clips again. Pretty much everyone's got an attention span of 7 seconds, they say. So
if you're
I think
lucky.
I think in the art world, they would say, like, when you're in an art gallery, you've basically got 7 seconds to hold someone's attention with an artwork or a painting.
Right.
So I think it's kind of the same with video content.
Yeah.
Get the best tricks in there straight away.
Mm.
Yeah, so I do use the when I do videos to like showcase whatever cool tricks I'm working on, or just a moment in time as well.
Mm. Yeah.
And I think making lots of content as well when people are, looking for a hula hooper to cover a gig or something, because it's always, here I am, and again, and again, always
More
with the
me.
video content, just keeps you in the front of people's minds as well.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. When the hoops have LEDs, when they're lit up, how does that
Yes.
change the way you think about performing? What's different?
Oh, okay. So I've just bought a set of Light Toys LED hoops, and these are absolutely wild. My partner, he was in the chair when
Tech support earlier, yes.
tech support, yeah. So he is a audio engineer, so he's set up all the sound and lighting.
You sound great.
Thank you. I was a bit disappointed he didn't put a mic on me, but it's early morning in Australia, so
Yeah.
back in bed.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so he does my sound and lights, and he's got that
wow.
tech knowledge. So the hula hoops that we have can be put in the same timeline as the music track, and they can light
Wow.
up in time to each section of the music. So he does all the programming for me with that, and we've barely scratched the surface with that.
Yeah.
But that's something that's opening up a whole new world of performance, being able to make this amazing light show.
Yeah.
And the effects that we can do with that.
Oh, amazing.
So yeah, going forwards, that's going to open up some exciting new ways of doing things. We've also bought some of the chips from the same company to sew into costumes, so we can get the costumes to match the hula hoops or the stage surrounds. So lots of exciting things happening very shortly.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
How do you pick your music for your routine?
Yeah, so working so my partner as a DJ, we just kind of back and forwards and work out what we want to do, and yeah, it's a bit of collaboration there, and he puts it all together. Yeah. But generally I always think anything high energy, pump up the crowd. I think songs that people know, it's just one of those things, isn't it? If it's something familiar, it's going to get a bigger reaction than something a little bit unknown. So I do like to kind of go a little bit popular on high energy with the music.
Yeah, that's great.
Yeah.
What do you normally listen to if you're not in the world of hula hooping?
Oh, everything.
Okay.
Yeah, no, a little bit of everything. I do like a lot of country music as well. So
Awesome. Do you ever hula hoop to country, or is that too low energy?
oh, if no one's looking.
Yeah. When you go out for 10 minutes when you get home and it's just your time, you can hula hoop along the country.
Yeah, if no one's looking.
Yeah, that's great. How rare is it to have kind of the dynamic you have with your partner where you kind of have like an audio visual engineer who's supporting the performance?
It's pretty cool, actually. It's really opened up a whole new world. Yeah, being able to collaborate and yeah, make art together.
Yeah.
So it's been really exciting. And yeah, it's just like a whole new dimension of yeah, what you can do.
Is that something that was kind of in place from the start, or was it kind of like as your career advanced, as you got better and better and more opportunities to kind of enhance your show presented themselves, that it kind of came online?
So we've been so we met when I was already a hula hooper. So
Oh, okay, got it.
yeah. So just kind of when we met, and then he was into all the music and the lighting, and it was just in lockdown, and I had just been asked to make some video tutorials, so like for hula hooping. So when we met, basically I got that thing asking to do some hula hoop tutorials, and so we basically started working together almost instantly on the he just loved the camera and the technology and the behind the scenes. So it just kind of, yeah, naturally went from there.
Yeah, what a gift. How'd you guys meet?
Yeah. Online actually.
Nice. Yes. Technology.
I really do like this technology. Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's working out great. No complaints. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
Awesome. So LED music and lighting, LED lighting and music is kind of like one version. Are there other kind of like offshoots of hula hooping that are starting to branch out? Are there other styles that people are kind of getting excited about?
Oh, definitely. Fire as well has been a big one for me.
How
So,
does that work?
fire hula hooping.
Mm-hmm.
The wicks are on the outside of the hula hoop.
Okay.
So, they're on the outside, and I'm on the inside of the hula hoop.
Great.
But definitely, there was a stage where I loved fire, and I'm like, what are the coolest, craziest hula hoop tricks I can do with fire? And hula hooping on my nose with the hoop on fire was the craziest one I could think of. So I learned how to do that, and that's always the biggest crowd pleaser in any show. It's doesn't come. It's putting my face into the fire. So
Quite literally.
quite literally. So the other day I was driving somewhere and I'm like, oh, my lips are feeling sore. And I'm like, oh yeah, I was hula hooping on my face. I burnt my lips, burnt my
Oops.
cheek from smiling while doing it. And actually, the day before I met my partner, I had these massive eyelash extensions. And while hula hooping on my face, my eyelashes caught on fire. So I had like a half set of melted lashes and a burnt eyelid.
Oh my God. What you see is
So
what you
yeah,
get. This is me.
fire safety is a thing. Yep.
Sure is. Well, I mean, do you just like the first time you do it, like, do you just set it on fire and go for it? Like, or is there like a way you can kind of gradually go up? Like,
To learn fire hooping.
yeah.
Yeah, well, actually, I got this idea like one New Year's Eve. I was like, this year I'm going to learn to fire hoop, and I think it was maybe 6 months into my hula hooping journey. Like, this is what I'm going to do, and it's going to take me all year to do it. And then it was like a week later, I went to a fire jam. So it's just like group of Aussies meet in the park and
Play
play
with
with their
fire.
fire toys,
Mm-hmm.
basically. And I said to like one of the girls, oh, I really want to learn fire hoop. And she's just like, here, get in it. Like, it's the only way you learn, by doing it. So it was only like a week later that I was like, oh yeah, I'm fire hooping now. So I definitely do need to learn with professionals and people who know what they're doing. Ideally, but yeah, it is something that you learn by doing.
Yeah, very cool.
Oh, and hula hooping on my bottom, that's been the other big gimmick for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
Is there like just around your butt?
Yeah, just around my butt
Great.
hooping.
But
It's a thing. It's a very, very popular move.
okay. Like, yeah, I guess because normally it would be on your waist or hips. So like, what changes with butt hooping?
What changes? It's on your butt.
Right. Like, is
It's
there, but like,
hilarious.
well, let me not overcomplicate this. Never mind. Yeah, perfect.
You can't hula hoop on your bottom and it not be funny. So
you have the proof. You're out here doing it in the world, so I trust you.
Yeah, that's one of the things I really like to do. Being Aussie, I like to kind of get out into nature and like out to the beaches or out to the bush or go on hikes. And I always like bring my hula hoops with me everywhere I go. So I'll be in these weird kind of remote places and start hula hooping. So it's always really funny when you see other hikers kind of like walk through the bush and there's some woman standing on top of a rock hula hooping on her butt.
That's awesome. If you were going for a hike, how many hula hoops would you bring with you?
Trying to narrow it down to one. It used to be about 8. But as I get older, I'm just
stick to one. Keep it easy.
Between 1 and 3. Try and be a little bit more sensible.
Yeah.
These days, yeah.
That makes good sense. What's the weirdest place you ever hula hooped?
Oh, definitely the weirdest place. I just think anywhere, like on any hiking tracks in Australia. I can't think of anywhere like crazy weird off the top of my head. Yeah, just out like on top of different waterfalls or rock faces. Yeah, I did actually have a video back to video. I was filming a video on a rock face in Australia next to the ocean, and was hula hooping, and then a massive wave came and knocked me out. Like a freak wave came out of nowhere, and so that like just completely knocked me under, and I lost all the skin on one of my butt cheeks, and it wiped the camera. Somehow I was able to find the phone and the camera that was like 100 meters down the rock face.
Oh my God.
The phone survived enough for me to upload it onto Instagram before it died. And like a waterproof ad for Samsung, waterproof Samsung phone. I'm an iPhone girl now, but the phone survived.
Amazing.
And so I uploaded that onto social media. I never found the hula hoops again. They were gone to the ocean.
Wow.
Never again seen, but my phone and tripod survived. And then I got contacted by one of those video licensing platforms, and they licensed that video. So that ended up going viral. And that was the start of doing some kind of viral videos and licensing videos, which was an interesting other world of performance as well.
Yeah.
But that was about maybe 7 years ago, and still people to this day are like, hey, I saw you on that video, or it's kind of gone on some like, world's stupidest people TV shows, kind of dumb things that people do on the side of a cliff type. Oh
my God.
Yeah.
And did that end up being a revenue stream for you?
Yeah. So with those kind of videos, there are some places where you can upload your content, and if they like it and think it's got those viral qualities, which again goes back to gimmicking, like doing something gimmicky, and it's the simple things done over and over again, that kind of butt stuff. It's always funny, hula hooping.
Good old butt stuff. Never fails.
And it's usually the hula hooping on my butt videos that are very, saleable for that kind of thing. And so I just upload them to those sites, and if they choose to, partner with me for them, it just goes into their video library, and then every couple of months I'll get an email saying you've got money in your account. So
cool.
It's pretty cool. Interestingly though, whoever films the video owns it. So that's with those, well, they're American kind of sites, so that's, I don't know if Aussie law is different, but they always say, did you film the video yourself? Because whoever films the video
owns it.
So if I've tripod filmed it, that's fine. But if someone has filmed it for me, then I need to contact that person and say, hey, can you either license this or sign over the rights to me? So I found that's really interesting with performance thing. Even though you're the one performing, you're not necessarily the one who owns it, the content.
Interesting. Yeah. I mean, I imagine that's why, even though like I perform music on stage and there's always videos and content that gets uploaded from people watching, but it's why it's always important to have you either like someone on your team or a tripod to film it yourself so that you can have some content that you actually own.
Yeah.
Super interesting. Super interesting. Mel, where can people find you? Where can they learn more about all of the cool stuff that you do?
Instagram's where I mainly hang. So Mel Wheeler.
Great.
Or TikTok as well.
Okay, awesome.
So it's also Mel Wheeler Hoops.
Do you post the same content for those two platforms, or do you post different stuff?
Similar, a little bit different, but pretty similar. TikTok's more B-roll, I guess. Instagram's a bit prettier.
Yes, necessary. Yeah. Amazing. Well, Mel, thank you for bringing your water, your coffee, and your pre-workout to meet with me at 7 a.m.
I haven't started the pre-workout yet.
Not yet. Actually, that does give me one other question. What, like, you're taking pre-workout, what does training look like for hula hoop? Or like, do you train outside of the actual practice of hula hooping?
Yeah, so there's a few different ways. Like sometimes if I'm making an Instagram video, I'll mainly just be concentrating on just doing cool tricks. But if I'm training, there's no cameras and I'm like drilling. So the training can be essentially quite boring and repetitive. Just drills, and that's what gets the skills.
Yeah.
So it's the same repetitive movements over and over and over again. But also doing the tricks and being able to nail them is a different form of creativity and a different form of training.
100%.
And then cross training as well for fitness, like swimming or climbing or just walking or anything else that's active. Still the endurance as well.
Just moving the body.
Yeah,
that makes a lot of sense. Very cool.
Yeah.
Well, Mel, thank you so much for sharing your time with me this morning. Thank you for getting up so early in Australia time. I know it's not easy to be camera ready at 7 a.m.
It's not that early. I just feel like I need an award for...
Hey, take the credit because I'm offering it. I do not always get up at 7 a.m. for interviews, so I acknowledge that. But anyway, thank you again for your time. And I hope to see more hula hooping from you in the future.
Amazing. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Okay.
So one of the questions we get asked all the time is how can we be more supportive of artists? And sometimes that's actually consuming their art, whether it's buying tickets, streaming their music, watching their videos, etc. But frankly, buying their merch is one of the best ways you can. Our team has finally put together a small package of merch that we're really proud of. It's fun, it's bright, it's colorful. It really espouses so many of the messages that you hear on this podcast about self-love, self-appreciation, and being willing and courageous enough to put your art out into the world. So if you need a gift for yourself or for someone else, please go ahead and take a look. It's jackdawkinsmerch.shopify.com. Thank you. Thank you so much for listening today. It is genuinely my pleasure, my joy to share these conversations with you. If you are able, if you're willing, please leave a review, hopefully a good one, on whatever platform it is that you're enjoying these conversations. It really helps us with visibility and having these stories be told to a wider and wider audience. There are many, many ways you can connect with us. The best one, just reach out to stagedivepodcast@gmail.com. You can recommend a guest, you can give us feedback, you can send us memes, whatever would make you happy. Thank you again for being here. My name is Jack Dawkins, and we'll see you again soon.